Welcome to the Prado Museum in Madrid, Spain, and our weekly Wednesday series of conversations in English with American Friends of the Prado Museum. We are a nonprofit organized to support the Prado, and along with our sister organization in Spain, the Fundación Amigos del Museo del Prado. I'm really happy to be here with you today to help rediscover a great master who was very influential in the Italian Renaissance, was of El Greco and of Sofonisba and Gisola, was referred to as the Michelangelo of small format, and who is much, much less known today. And we are speaking of, we want to see the wall painter, we're speaking of Giulio Clovio through this wonderful work, The Risen Christ. Not yet. And we have the opportunity to have this painting here today thanks to a very generous donation. This was one of the works of Giulio Clovio, one of the last and very few in a private collection. And its recent owner, Pilar Conde, realized what a special, precious piece she had. And she very generously decided to donate it to American Friends, and so we could share it with the public, reconnect it in this way to the Prado Museum, and preserve it for the future, because it's a very, very delicate piece. So we thank her very much for her generosity. And actually, expanding and complementing the Prado Museum's great collection is one of our missions at American Friends of the Prado Museum. And the Amigos much more so, the Fundación Amigos of the Prado, as it's celebrating its 40th anniversary. And we're inside a temporary exhibit that pays homage to all of the amigos and friends who have helped expand and complement with works of art when it's appropriate and when it's possible this wonderful collection at the Prado Museum. So it's just a room filled with our contributions, our efforts to support this wonderful collection. And we thank all of you who may be friends or amigos that are listening, and if not, we encourage you to learn about us. This is how we're part of the society that supports civil society, that makes the effort to support this wonderful museum. And right now you're seeing a work by Goya, which is the very first work that we actually know on oil is of Francisco de Goya, and the Fundación Amigos has purchased it to donate it to the Prado for its 40th anniversary. And within this exhibit, we have the 3 works of art that have been donated from our area of influence from the United States to American Friends. And so it's this wonderful work by Giulio Clovio, which we're going to see in depth, next to this lost portrait of King Philip III, which was done by Velázquez, and it was lost in the fact that we didn't know it existed. And its owner was the art historian William B. Jordan, who identified the work, purchased it, he identified it as Velázquez, and then very generously wanted it to be here at the home of Velázquez, which is the Prado Museum. So there's a lot that we do, and we're very thankful for everyone who makes this possible. But today we're speaking about Giulio Clovio. And so Giulio Clovio was, like I said before, very influential, and perhaps at his time, but we don't know much about him today. He's much more forgotten, much less known. And why is this? And possibly because art history is unfair in the fact that it's a small format. He decided to dedicate his career to small format paintings. It's not one of the great areas of large format painting, sculpture, architecture, which we spend a lot more time on. But this piece and his technique is so precious that I'm really excited that it's here and that we can tell you the story of it. He was born in what is today Croatia, but is really at his time is the Republic of Venice. His artistic formation, took him to service of the King of Hungary, and then to Padua, and finally in Rome. He was a student of Giulio Romano, and so His name Giulio Clovio is also in honor of Giulio Romano, and he ended up doing his best work in the decades of the 1550s to the 1570s in Rome, especially at the service of the Cardinal Farnesio. So, and Giorgio Vasari, the great art historian biographer, included him in his Lives of the Great Artists. So that's a fact that he was very well considered. And what he specialized in is small painting. And he's working on the tradition of the illuminated manuscripts, which is a medieval tradition within monasteries and other places, scriptoriums, to illustrate specifically religious books. And the book format is on parchment, which is animal skin, and this is a work on vellum, which is a finer piece of parchment. It's animal skin, but it's much finer. It's used for the best commissions, and the skin is prepared, and it's the inside of the skin which is the best painting surface. And this surface is so delicate because then it doesn't have any varnish on it, and therefore any type of pigment can just with the touch of our finger be taken off. So they're extremely delicate, but they're also extremely beautiful. And he innovates also in the painting technique. He takes a painterly approach to the surface, incorporates the background color, and doesn't completely color over it. He paints in a format of kind of like small dots, much more like a watercolor technique today, and incorporates the background into it, making it a much more modern type of painting. And he uses lapis lazuli, beautiful blues, in many of his works, as we see here in this beautiful classical landscape to the left, with the blue sky of lapis lazuli. And the figure of the subject matter is the risen Christ, and it's based on the model of Michelangelo. There's a large sculpture of Michelangelo, the risen Christ, which is you can still see today in the church in Rome of Santa Maria sopra Minerva. It's very close to the Pantheon, and the large sculpture of Michelangelo is there, and he's following this model. So not only is he inspired by Michelangelo, but that we also know that they probably knew each other and had a mutual admiration. So his format of painting makes it much more loose and modern, and he highlights with gold the curtain, if you can see that. And this wonderful piece is also signed by Clovio at the bottom. And how he's also very revolutionary is that he makes these works independent works. He's the first to bring the illumination out of the book and make it a standalone art form that has value on its own. It doesn't have to be within a context or within a whole manuscript. It is the piece itself that is valuable. And we know that there were 7 works of art of Giulio Clovio in El Escorial that were collected by Charles V and Philip II. And during the times of conflict within the Napoleonic invasion of the Iberian Peninsula in the 1800s, these 7 works left the Spanish royal collection. So had history happened in a different way, works by Giulio Clovio should have been in the Spanish royal collection. Then they were lost, and now, thanks to this donation by Pilar Conde, we have a glimpse and a reconnection back to him. And he was very influential to El Greco, is another connection he has with Spain, in that he introduced El Greco to the intellectual and artistic circles in Rome right before El Greco decides to move to Spain and call Spain his home as a painter. So we have a wonderful portrait of Giulio Clovio painted by El Greco which you can research and see who Giulio Clovio is, and another portrait by Sofonisba Anguissola of Giulio Clovio. So these are his circle, and we're so glad to have him back with us today.
Small jewel people are talking about the size.
Yes, so it's very small. So here's my hand, just to give it a size. It's a very small format, which makes it so much more difficult to paint. You have to be extremely talented to paint in such a small format. So he was a genius, and he was called the Michelangelo of small paintings. So thank you so much, and we're very proud from American Friends of the Prado to have helped in this way. We're very thankful to our donors. We thank you for watching us. We hope you will share this and find out more about us on our website and on the Fundación Amigos website. And we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday.